All right. Hello, I'm Honor Baloo. Welcome to the From the Top podcast. Today we are here. Thank you, Andrew, for joining us. We're with Andrew Grayson, who is founder and CEO of Six Pack Coverage. And we're glad to have you. Tell us some more about what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thanks again. Yeah, my name's Andrew Grayson, the founder of Six Pack. We're a sports and entertainment media company based in Nashville. So I know it can be a very broad title, but what that is, we cover six areas, hence the name Six Pack: sports, entertainment. We're dabbling a little bit into politics-ish, food, travel, finance, really anything that we think kind of our target demographic, that 18 to 35, trying to bring them all of these areas that they may not know about, or maybe someone wants to get interested to it a little more. So through our team, we do that through podcasts, through videos, articles, trying to hit every type of media out there to make people well informed of these areas.
Interesting. Very interesting. So what inspired you to start this business?
Um, so really, I have no business background. It's kind of a wild story. I'm a healthcare guy at heart.
Yeah.
I went to the University of Tennessee. I wanted to be a PA, a physician, something in healthcare. I love kind of that whole aspect of things. Went to Vanderbilt to study nuclear medicine. Again, complete 180 from all things business. And then actually 2020-ish, 2021, like around COVID, made the full, just complete switch. Went into kind of the business entrepreneur realm. I loved the idea of, working whenever I wanted to, or working too many hours or not enough hours. I got to really kind of control the narrative, and really get out of healthcare with everything that was going on. And so,
Yeah.
with that, yeah, started, several years ago. And I guess the switch was, I think I'd be good at it. I like it. I don't really know where to start. Like I said, I don't have some extensive business background or any type of, large accreditations there. And I think that's part of why I've been kind of somewhat successful going down this route, is just kind of seeing what works and being a very unorthodox, I guess, kind of business character.
Because sounds like you didn't really have any expectations. You just thought, well, this will be interesting. Is that right?
Right. Yeah. I was doing a little bit of healthcare, a little bit of business, and I was like, hey, I just got to make the full leap into kind of the entrepreneur realm. And my goal was just to pay my rent every month.
Okay.
Living with my friends downtown, it's like I need to make $1,000 a month, and I'll be happy. And then from there, just kind of, I guess, year after year, set new goals for myself. And now it's kind of funny looking back, years later. It's like, yeah, all I wanted was to live for free. Can I make $1,000 and I'll be happy? And so like I said, through a lot of trial and error, we've gotten to where we are now.
Yeah, cool. So what would you say is your 5-year plan or goal for the business now?
Yes, ultimately, we're one of the fastest media companies growing right now. We're reaching about 10 million people a month, in that 18 to 35 demographic.
Wow.
I would love to be kind of, what's that next tier? You've got your CNNs, your Foxes, your ESPNs. I think, one of the my friend Chris Cuomo, he's got a show on News Nation. He calls us an independent media outlet. And so I kind of gravitate towards that. I like that. Whereas we're not biased one way or the other when it comes to any aspect. We just want to provide as much as we can. Like, here's what we know. Here's what we're hearing, we're seeing from all these different areas. So the end goal is to be just kind of the leading, I guess I don't want to say news company, but like media
Mm-hmm.
giant, for that regard. So that would hopefully be the 5-year goal, is to slowly get to that point.
Interesting. So are you bringing messages? Where are you getting the stories or the things that you're sharing? Where do those come from?
Yeah, so we put all that on our platforms: Instagram, our website, all social media. So, for example, like our fitness department, we've got NPC bodybuilders. We've got people that are trying to say, hey, if you want to bulk up for the winter, if you're trying to lose weight, whether you're male, female, if you're trying to get a six pack,
Okay.
hey, here's what's worked for us. Here's what, we're preaching as a healthy way to do this. Same with like our finance section. I didn't take any finance courses in my entire life pretty much. So I like the finance section, learning, investing 101, what's a 401k. So we're trying to bring all these different areas and get accredited people in each division. That way
Okay.
you're not learning finance from me, someone
Yeah.
that has to Google that information. And like I'm clearly not a big muscular guy, probably not the best person to learn fitness advice from. And so we've got people in their field, trusted sources that are helping push this information out. Rather than, a lot of stuff out there today is very skewed one way or the other. It's false information. I feel like we've got a really good team here that's pumping out the right kind of info, whether that's sports, fitness, entertainment, anything that someone's trying to learn more about.
Okay, interesting. So people just they want to learn. They're going to go and check out your six pack coverage, and you've got different topics they can dig into. I want to learn more about fitness. I want to learn more about finance. I want to learn more about sports, and they just sort of get in there and see what they can find and learn.
Exactly. Yeah. Wanted to
Okay.
be kind of like a one-stop shop, like an Amazon. Somebody hopefully is going to benefit, whether you're a 21-year-old college kid, a 35-year-old female, something hopefully on the website can pull you in and kind of gravitate towards to learning more about any of these areas.
Cool. Very interesting. Wow. All right. So tell me, you're a new entrepreneur. What has been the biggest surprise to you after you started getting going?
Um, yeah, learning a lot. I'd say being adaptive is like the biggest thing we've had to learn, just because I have my idea of, hey, I think things are going to go this way. I'm a very type A person. Like here's, plan A, B, and C. That's how it's going to go. And being adaptive to realize you need to have A through Z, and learning things that you don't plan for are going to happen. And I think I'm someone that can work on my feet and kind of adapt in that situation. I think my healthcare background helped me in that regard, just because working
Mm.
in hospitals, chaos 24/7, you
Mm-hmm.
got to juggle several things going on. So I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned is being adaptive to any situation with that, which, with us comes with, whether it's hiring on new people or things happening in the media. So which is interesting. Every day is completely different, which I like that. It creates a lot of, I don't want to say randomness, but you don't know what you're going to expect. Good, bad, a little bit in the middle.
A lot of surprises, right? Just on a regular
Exactly.
basis. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's always good because it teaches you resilience, right? You have to,
Exactly.
and like you said, being adaptable. And you can't predict, nobody could predict COVID, right? I mean,
Right.
you can't predict what's going to happen. So being able to adjust and adapt when it happens is a hugely important skill.
Right. No, you're exactly right. That's something kind of had to force myself to, like I think I'm good at being adaptive to situations, but now it's like, hey, you really need to be kind of on your A game and be kind of prepared for anything that could happen. So it's a learning curve with it. We're still getting there.
Yeah, good. So, what would you say? I mean, how do you define success? You're a new entrepreneur. You're growing like crazy. It's really exciting. How do you define success? And who comes to mind when you think about someone successful?
Yeah, I mean, my definition of success is kind of looking on the past. As weird as that may sound, like when we first started, I wanted to make $1,000 a month. I just wanted to pay my rent and live for free. And now it's like I couldn't survive if that's what we were doing. And just to say, like, we were reaching, a few tens of thousands of people every month. And now, like I said, that whatever that multiplier is, we're now at 10 million. We're getting reached out to by brands, companies wanting to work with us, seeing. So now, like, we're kind of in the driver's seat of like, we can choose who we want to work with. Like we do a lot here in Nashville, like mom and pop shops. And we've got a big tour that we do. So we go to all these different colleges across the country and we do events there. So we'll bring out the local shops there to, or food vendors to work with us. So kind of defining success for me is just looking back of like, okay, where were we last year? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, we reached this amount of people. We had this many people on the team. Here's the impact we had in Nashville or on a nationwide scale. And it's just kind of funny, now 3-4 years down the line, it's like, I thought I was the hot shot. Like, hey, I got free rent. I'm making $1,000 a month and I'm not working in healthcare anymore. It's like, I'm my own boss. And now we've got a team of 33 of us here in Nashville. There's constant chaos going on. And I'm sure, 4 or 5 years from now, I'm going to look back in this position and my interview with you and be like, oh, Andrew, you were light years away from, what's coming, what's down the road. But so I guess that'd be kind of my definition there with success. And, someone I guess that I kind of measure that with and look up to is my grandfather. He was a small time kind of pharmacist, small town guy that just honestly just worked his tail off all the time and kind of had this reputation where he was with his pharmacy of kind of like the Mayberry Andy Griffith
Yeah.
comparison, where like everyone knew who he was.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, how's your brothers? How's your kids? It was that kind of dynamic. And so I wanted to really kind of, if I wanted to go down that route, because he was a pharmacist turned entrepreneur, ran his own company. So I I model a lot of kind of my success or what I want to do off that same mentality of where it is a Mayberry, if you will. I mean, Nashville's massive. We're nowhere obviously near that, but that same type of mentality, just kind of the Mayberry Andy Griffith feel to us. I very much look up to him, and it's funny. A lot of our biggest decisions we've ever made, I've called him for advice, and it's like he's not even in the space and in this realm, and so that's someone I really admire and look up to in all these facets.
So what have you learned from him about making decisions?
Yeah, so he similar to me. He didn't go off and do the entrepreneur route until much later in life. I think he was like 38 or 40 when he started. He opened up his own pharmacy. Versus myself, like I left healthcare at like 25 or 26. So a little bit earlier in life, but I think the lessons there, like he similar to me, he was just cracked out working all the time, lived off coffee and energy drinks, and was doing it for the greater good, knowing, hey, something's going to come of this. Obviously, his title is much more valuable than mine. Being a pharmacist, helping people in that space, I just am just, my value is we have a lot of eyeballs. We can really get out good, solid, truthful, honest information. So I think that's, obviously a little bit of a different aspect, but I know hopefully that's a long-winded answer to your question there.
I think sometimes people have big decisions to make and they get a little bit stuck, and so it can be really helpful just to get a different perspective, and especially from
Right.
somebody that you admire, like your grandfather.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is having a mentor in this space because I know a lot of people major in business. They go to school thinking, hey, we're going to do that our whole life. Whereas me, it's like I had no idea till 6 years out of college that I wanted to go down this space. Like my friends aren't doing this. I don't have mentors that were in the entrepreneur space. So I was like, hey, I call him granddaddy. I was like, hey, like I'm doing this. What do you think? And obviously his generation and social media are light years apart.
Right. Yeah.
And so he's kind of been a great sounding board for me to really bounce ideas off of. And probably not a very traditional answer. I know a lot of entrepreneurs have maybe a small circle or people they converse with, and mine is, an 83-year-old former pharmacist.
No, I think that's fantastic. What's interesting is a lot of people think, well, it needs to be somebody that understands my business. It needs to be somebody from my industry. But the reality is sometimes if you talk to an individual leader outside of your industry, they're going to look at things differently. They're
Right.
going to have experienced some things that you haven't experienced in different ways, and they may come up with something that you've never considered, right?
Yeah, having an outside perspective,
Yeah,
which I'm very thankful for. It's worked out for us so far, but yeah, having someone that's not directly involved in the business, maybe doesn't even is very removed from it, may have a different outlook on it, which could benefit, you and your team in the long run.
right. Exactly. So if you look back over, I mean, you've been doing this, what, 3 or 4 years now, I think you said?
Since 2020-ish, yeah,
Okay.
2020, 21, yes, ma'am.
So so what learnings over, from life or from business, what learnings would you say that you've acquired?
The biggest one's probably not assuming. And I mean that as in not assuming that someone knows how to go get something done, not assuming, because like in our position, there's so many working pieces all the time. I've learned that it's better for me either to teach somebody like, hey, this is exactly how we'd like it to go, versus assuming they know how to do something, or assuming, hey, things are going to work out on their own. I can just kind of take a back seat and work on another area, and then it comes crashing down. So I think the biggest thing I've learned is not assuming things are going to get done and not assuming people know how to execute. Which is fine. I think that there's a learning curve in obviously every career and aspect, but just taking the extra step to be like, hey, do you know exactly how we're going to do this? Do you have any ideas? Do you have any questions? Knowing, when we're in the comfort of here in Nashville before we go out and we do these large events, or before we're going and doing large presentations. That way there's just no confusing, and being in healthcare, I'm surrounded by peers where we're all very intelligent. We know what we're doing. We've done it 100 times. It's like clockwork. And now stepping back in this new role, trying not to have the same mentality is like, hey, everybody does not know the exact plan, or maybe if they
Yeah.
do, you need to run it through 2, 3, 4 times. So that's probably one of the biggest things I've learned in just what we do on a day-to-day basis.
Cool. So can you imagine at this point, can you imagine not being an entrepreneur?
I could not. No. I love it. I mean, half the time when I'm sitting in Nashville, I get to, sit in a tank top and shorts and my dog's right beside me. And like, I'm living the dream. I love that. I'm a huge dog person. eventually, if I end up selling six pack, I'm going to open up a dog clinic here in Nashville. I
Oh,
guess that to answer your question, that's one of my end goals.
yeah.
If we end up making it pretty big in that space, but I couldn't imagine going back to healthcare. Mick, I love it. Like, don't get me wrong. The 12, 14-hour days, I'm still working the same amount. I'm sitting here in a massage chair with my dog beside me and in the same amount of hours. But like obviously in healthcare, we're saving lives, we're making a
Yes.
huge difference. So I don't get, I guess, the satisfaction of that career, but I love the flexibility and being able to, sacrifice work in the last 2, 3 years has now allowed me to like, yeah, I can, if I want to take off this weekend and go golfing or go camping with my dog, I can, or I can sleep until 10 o'clock on a Tuesday and then go to Chick-fil-A with my dog and have breakfast. And it's like,
Yeah.
I've got the flexibility to do that. And
Right.
so I love kind of we've put a lot of work into, where we are today. It's not
Sure.
obviously all fun and games, but again, long-winded answer to say, like, I don't think I could go back to putting on the scrubs and the coat and clocking in, downtown.
Yeah, it is a lot of work, and you're learning all the time, but I think once you experience the freedom and flexibility of it, it's hard to think about, and you're working hard for
Yeah.
yourself now versus working hard for somebody else, right? So it's hard to think about,
Right.
going back working for somebody else and not having the same freedom and flexibility. It's a whole different world.
It is. Yeah. And that's something it's funny first starting out where it was like, it was a Monday at 8 a.m. I didn't have to go back to the hospital. It's like, what am I going to do? It's like, how do I grow? This six pack was born in my childhood closet at my parents' house during COVID. And I was doing that and going and getting my MHA, my master's in healthcare administration. And like I said, kind of dabbling in both. And it was in my childhood closet where this started. And it was like, okay, this little pipe dream that we have, how can this turn into, I never have to go clock in again, or where I love doing this. And so it was like that small fire that started. And now that fire's turned into a forest fire of just ideas and just this excitement that we have.
That is so fun. What advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about making the change and becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I'd say it's not ever too late. It's okay if you don't have things figured out. I mean, when I was 22, I spent half my time in college at the fraternity house and the other half was in the library. And I thought I had a whole plan, life figured out. I was going to get married. I was going to go off to PA school, be making X amount. And then it was like, hey, 25, 26 rolls around. I'm living with my parents in my childhood twin size bed with my dog. And it's like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. But I think, the idea, if you've got something, you think it's a unique idea. I think I've learned a lot of things. Like I would have gone back and tried to find a mentor. Obviously I think my granddad's a great example, but finding mentors in whatever space you want to do. Because there's people out there that, have great ideas. And I think a lot of it is work ethic too.
Mm.
Like my generation's very lazy. And I think I can say that because I am still lazy at times. And a lot of my friends, and I know people that are, but I think having that work ethic, if you've got a great idea, it's going to take a long time to maybe get to the point where you're, bringing in money. It took us 27 months before we went green. And I mean, I was living on ramen and probably expired chicken breast for a good, probably way too long than I should say, but just a long time of just a simple diet, putting every dollar I had into making t-shirts and just, I can't tell you how many books I read or podcasts I would listen to, try and just get ideas of like I said, I'm a healthcare guy. I have no idea what social media is or companies or coding a website, but it's like I'm hungry. I want to
Yeah.
learn all this and willing to. So yeah, but I think that's I get down rabbit holes when I talk, if you haven't obviously noticed. But I think that's one of the biggest things. Like you can never too late to start, and I think a lot of it comes down like what is your drive, your work ethic to get this done.
Yeah, and I think, you brought up kind of the topic that I hear from other entrepreneurs is when you're getting started, you just have to work hard and you maybe don't know exactly which way to go, but you just, like you said, you got to learn, you got to just absorb, you got to try different things, and you just have
Right.
to make sure that you're continuing to do something every day, and then
Yeah.
maybe it'll kind of click.
Right. Not staying complacent with it. I mean, we live in social media is a generation of instant gratification where it's like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, I'm gonna put in 2 weeks of work and then I'm gonna live off that. And it's like, not really. Like we put in 27 months of work to make $1,000 our first month. And that was, like I said, that was life changing for me. When I remember cutting my check to my roommate that I lived with, and I was just like, here you go, Mac, here's $1,000 that somebody else paid for, that we worked
Yeah.
with the business in. So no, yeah, I think you're exactly right with it.
So what was that like for you when you got that first piece of revenue?
Oh, I mean, I was ecstatic. I remember I called my parents, I called my best friends, and they're like 1,000. Like that's. I was like, hey, we've been working 27 months. We've been coming a long way, and dude, it's funny. Like I said, $1,000 was life changing to me. I was able to pay my rent, and now I'm grateful enough. Like we've got a house. So we've been able to really kind of see the growth. Like I said, over the last couple of years of $1,000 to pay your rent one month. Now I've got a mortgage I got to take care of, and
Yeah.
got a house here that's a different ball game. So yeah, it's all part of the process, and I mean it's a constant just up and down roller coaster, which I guess some people enjoy that. I've come to enjoy it a little bit, where it's some days it's like, why in the world did I do this? It's like everything goes wrong, but then there's other days it's like everything is going perfectly right. And I mean, it's a constant, incline, a gradual going up, but you zoom in on it, it's just a lot of this the entire time.
How do you keep yourself going when you have one of those bad days?
Um, so a weird answer. I love to walk with my dog. Like my dog's my entire world. And if I'm super stressed out, which happens a lot during our busy seasons, I really just like put my phone down and I'll walk around the block with my dog for like 10, 15 minutes. It's like just cool down, look at the bigger picture, come back in. And I think a lot of that is like also assuming, maybe I can give this to somebody else. Can someone else help me tag team this problem? Not having to take on full control for the first 2-3 years. It was me running the ship for everything, every problem, every
Yeah.
good thing. It was like, okay, I can take responsibility for all the good and all the bad. And now it's like I'm grateful enough I've got a team to where I can divvy that out to somebody, or I can tag team it with somebody now. So if I'm swamped with work, I've tried to learn some stress relievers a little bit. Like my girlfriend got me this massage chair. So that's like I said, a weird little quirk that's come in handy a little bit for sitting here for 10, 11 hours, some days working, some days even longer. But yeah, like I said, it's just trying to find a good balance of being in the entrepreneur route. It is going to be this up and down, but you got to have stress relievers for those days where everything it's nothing but negatives. How are you going to combat that and come back stronger the next day?
Mm-hmm. Because it does happen. It's reality, right? It's real life, and not everything is rainbows and puppies, right? So
Exactly.
sometimes,
As much as I wish it was the easy route and everybody could do it.
yeah,
Yeah. So then that's part of it. And like I said, the good outweighs the bad always. So I don't know, it's a nice learning curve, but we've learned a lot with just kind of throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks, running with that, always brainstorming. So we're lucky enough where our business model isn't concrete. We can change it, we can pivot it, just because kind of the value we bring to people is eyeballs. We reach. I could post a video of, something happening in the sports realm or entertainment or politics. It's probably going to get, 100 to 400,000 views. It's going to reach, nationwide, not just in Nashville or Florida or Chicago. So we're real grateful. Like I said, we've built something we think is really unique. The fact that we can push out any type of information we want, and we can even like center it on different cities too. So
yeah.
it's real cool. I love kind of nerding out about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's good to see how much passion you have around it. And, I mean, innovation is the key to differentiation, right? If you just
Mhm.
kind of do what everybody else does, then how are you going to be different? But if you actually
Exactly.
brainstorm and start from zero and like, how can we do this? Then you're going to get some new, creative, unique ideas and be different.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's one positive I brought to the table was like I'm a healthcare guy. Like
Right.
I'm not into I don't know business 101, finance, social media, tech stuff. So maybe my own kind of outside perspective, I'm sure helped kickstart a little bit, just having whatever weird ideas I came up with in the beginning. And thankfully now we got a team that comes up with weird ideas just like me. So it's all full circle now.
Yeah. Was it just you for quite a while in the beginning, or did you have a small team?
It was just me. It's funny. We gave off the illusion. Actually, no one really knows this. We gave off the illusion that it was like 10 people. And we had like pseudonames, people writing articles. So where it was like, oh wow, like Andrew, you got a good company here. And I was like, oh yeah, I know. Like we're doing great. And not realizing it's like, yeah, it's just me running the ship. I'm the judge, jury, and executioner. I'm wearing all the hats, which I think you need to at the very beginning. You have all the control. It's your passion, your
Mm-hmm.
baby. So it's like I'm going to put in 14-hour days, 4 or 5 days a week, and quit going to the bars, quit drinking, quit pretty much everything I enjoy doing because I really thought this was an idea I could take off with. And now thankfully we've got 33 of us, and so you give up some of that control, but you're able to grow more. We're bringing people on. And so, yeah, it's funny kind of the direction we've gone the last couple of years and how things have drastically changed from what the original ideas were and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so fun. I love your enthusiasm and your creativity. I'm sure you're going to continue to do well. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I mean, if there's any brands or companies that want to get on board with us and are interested in that 18 to 35-year-old demographic, like I said, we're reaching. I think it's like 9 to 12-ish is our range, millions of people per month, and like I said, would love to help push out brands that we're on board with that have a positive message, whether it's food, travel, entertainment. We got a solid kind of foundation here, can really help out any brands or companies that need that extra push or really want to get their message out.
Cool. And it's not just sports related. It's all kinds of different industries and different types of
Correct.
businesses.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
got sports, fitness, finance, food, travel, entertainment. Like I said, that's the 6 pillars that make up Six Pack.
Okay.
And so we've all those different areas. So we're not just only sports, or some people think Six Pack coverage and they think of a bunch of alcoholics, or they think of an insurance company. Like I've gotten both of those before, and it's like I love having a beer, but we're not an alcohol company, and we're definitely not insurance. So but yeah, those 6 areas is what we make up, and we got a great team behind us really pushing out our message for it. So
Yeah. Creative name. I was curious myself. I was like, is it alcohol related? Is it like muscle, like stomach, abs, six pack?
yeah, trying to get something that like brings it all together full circle, like 6 pack of abs for fitness or six
Yeah.
pack of beer for entertainment. And
Right.
there's a defense called 6 pack. And so we're
Okay.
like, okay, well, this is kind of tapping into
Nice.
everything.
Yeah.
So that's the best we could come up with. And
Yeah, I like it. I think it's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today. It was great getting to know you. Great talking to you.
yeah, I
And
appreciate the time. This has been great. Thank you so
all
much.
right. Thank you.